So in removing the LB7 downpipe, you're going to want to take off the heat shield off the turbo and off the downpipe. The best way I found to pull the heat shield out for the downpipe is pull it up over through here, and then you kind of got to twist it towards the front and pull out. Once you get that out, you're going to want to start taking the bolts out of the turbo. There are 3 bolts on the top, 1, 2, and 3, and then there's a bolt in the middle on the bottom of it as well. And then there's also a stud with a nut you gotta take off on both sides. That one right there. Now, the best way I found to take it out was using a 2-foot ratchet with about a this is a 2-inch extension, and then I think it's a 12 millimeter 12-point socket. Now, if you take your ratchet, you can actually get to a lot of the bolts from down here. Oh, let me see if I can just see that. You can actually get to all, or two of the bolts on the top of the turbo. The 2 that are closer to the passenger side. You can get both of those off by using that. And you just bring your ratchet right down here behind the downpipe, right here. And you can get to those 2. I was also able to use that 2-foot ratchet, and then I just put a 14 millimeter socket on it. Not quite sure what I did with it, but it was a deep socket. I just snapped that on, and I was able to get that one off. You're definitely going to need to have the swivel on your ratchet. It's a little tight up through here. You want to make sure you hold pressure on it so you don't round off your nuts. But that is definitely the best way to go. I've seen some other videos, and to each their own on how you take it off. But I found this way saved a lot of time for me, and it worked out very well. Here, I'm just going to show you. I can get the focus here. Now there was a bolt, you see that stud, and then there was a bolt right above it as well. Right up there. Just stick it up in there, and they crack loose. Now I did spray it down with some PB Blaster the night before and this morning, and so far everything's came out all good. Fingers crossed, and I think this is the best way to do it. Nothing's broke off yet, so just figured I'd put my 2 cents out there for y'all to take in. Let me know what you think about the video. Let me see if I can get the focus. If you see this yellow, I think it's got yellow on it. You see that bolt with the yellow paint on it? Well, that is the center bolt on the bottom of the turbo, and I didn't have enough room or leverage up top to crack it loose. So I came from underneath, and yes, I did loosen up my dipstick. It's just 2 bolts, or yeah, nuts on the stud, 1, 2, loosen it up, and then this can move up. So what I did was same 2-foot ratchet, and I had to jerry rig some stuff here because I didn't have a really long extension for 1/2 inch. But I got a nice long extension here with a swivel and a 12mm 12-point. Wrap some tape around it so it wouldn't flop around on me as much. And then I fed it up through here like this, and I was able to finesse it onto the bolt, and then I was able to crack it loose. And now that it's pretty loose, I think I should be able to get up top and get the bolt the rest of the way out. So as you can see, I finally have the downpipe out. Couple things you want to do is you're gonna want to take there's 2, I believe that they are 10 or 11 mil bolts that hold on the glow plug control module. You want to take that loose, move that over. If you have any other wiring in the vicinity, I suggest you move that. Like I had this relay here for, I believe it's my lift pump. Just disconnected that. And then I didn't take it off, but I broke loose the ground wire because it was kind of down like that and I couldn't get around it. So now that that's off, I told you guys how to take the nuts off the nuts and bolts off the turbo. The one that I didn't break any off, the only one that I had trouble with was the one on the driver's side, this one right here. We had to heat it with a torch, and we used a little 12mm stubby and a pry bar, and we were prying the wrench and this point right here, and we were able to get it loose. And then for the stud on the bottom, on this side down here, I used a nice long gear wrench. I can find where it's at, right here. 14mm. I got on it, and I again used a pry bar, and I pried on the end of it. I actually used the non-gear wrench side because it's kind of offset. Put it on, and I was prying between the bottom of the wrench and like right around here on the up pipe, and it finally broke loose, and then I was able to take it out. And here is the difference of the downpipes. This is the stock one. You can see nice big old dent right there for the dipstick clearance. Real tight bends. And then that's where my gauge was. It's real clamped down. Like here's another bend on it, right here. Again, like I said, I just pulled it up through the top. Now, there is a bracket that holds the downpipe on, and it goes like right around here. And this is the bracket. It just was on the downpipe. and clamped. And I was wondering what was holding me up. Well, it was this. So just take your fingers and you take it and you spread it apart and then take it off. And once that's off, you just kind of gotta twist and turn it to get it to come out. But here is the new up pipe with the 3-inch. Nice bends in it. Nice and open. Nice thick flanges. So as you can see, a lot sharper bends, that's all. This one here is more for flow. And that's how you get it out. To take the up pipes out for the passenger side, there is a heat shield on it, and the heat shield has, I believe it's 4 10mm bolts. I already took it off, but there was one right here. You see the bracket, there's 2, and there's one on the bottom of that, and then the 4th one is down the end. You're better off getting it through your fender well. After you get that bracket off, the bracket will then pull up through here, it'll come out. And then you got 3 bolts, 1, 2, and 3 on the bottom. They are 12mm 12 points. There's 3 of those. I just used a 2-foot ratchet with a swivel head, and then I believe it is, well, I put 2 extensions together, so it's probably about a 3 or 4 inch extension, and then with the 12mm 12 point, just reach down in there, crack them loose. Then after I got them cracked loose, I just used a little DeWalt drill with the socket on the end, and I was able to fit it down through there. Take the nuts out, makes it a little bit faster, a little bit easier. And then you gotta take the 3 bolts out of the manifold, and we will get to that in a minute. Now this is the passenger side up pipe. This is the bracket that holds the factory downpipe on. I mean, as you can see, it's pinched on both sides. Really sharp turns. And it goes in, it turns right down almost 90 degrees. Here's the new one for the passenger side. It's got a little bit nicer bends on it. Same with this one. I believe this is a 2-inch. And this is like 1 3/4 or something like that. But it's also got thicker flanges. This side here is a pretty big difference. You can see in the height, meaning that the bends are a little bit nicer. Now, in getting the up pipes off the manifold, I did have some trouble. I sprayed them down and let them soak. Still, I think the first one I tried getting off was this one. Ended up breaking it, got the torch out, and heated this one up. This one here came out okay, and the back one heated it up. Still broke it off. So you're definitely going to want to soak it down and use a torch. But I'll have to pull this manifold off now so I can re-drill it and tap it. On the driver's side, I wasn't as worried about it because I am putting a new manifold on anyway. Kind of hard to see up in there, but I think I ended up breaking all those off, but it doesn't matter because I'm pulling that out, and the bolts holding that on are coming out actually easily, just using a 3/8 impact gun, or I'm sorry, we're using 1/2 inch on the manifold. The bottom bolts are going to be a little bit harder to get to. Wherever they're at, hold on. Like there's one, but the angle is so bad that probably going to have to use a ratchet on those. Okay, so took out the driver's side manifold, and I did that by nut and bolt clip, kind of. Out of here, and this part, the steering column, you can just shove back, push, back up in, and then now allow you to move that up out of the way. Once this up out of the way, you can slide your manifold off. Well, this should already be off at this point. You just kind of have to land down in here. Then you want to slide it back, raise this up. Once that's up, you can then pick it up, and I pulled it right out through this hole right here. Just finagled it out. And as you can see, there's a pretty big dent. Now we take the shield off and show you, but all the bolts are all rusted, and I have to cut them off. But if you look here in the port, I mean, that's a pretty thick wall right there, and it just hits it. Doesn't feel real good. You can see that the other ports are all fine. But that's why I put this one here on.